So we're going to look at place values, specifically with decimals and whole numbers. So I've got this decimal place value. Some people call it place value street, place value houses. You may see this as a poster in some of the classrooms, the elementary classrooms. It helps students organize the different categories, if you will. So on the left of the decimal, we have the ones house, and that's going to be the ones or the units. You'll sometimes hear that say the tens and the hundreds. Now, past that, I'm going to keep using the same first name with a different last name, but all of them in the house are going to have the same last name. So in the thousands house, I'm going to have 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. And then the same thing in the millions. I'm going to have 1 million, 10 million, 100 million. And of course, that would continue on forever. But we're just going to focus on this millions, thousands, and then the ones. To the right of the decimal, so here's my decimal point, if you need to highlight that to make it obvious. So there is my decimal point. To the right of the decimal, everything's going to end in THS. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So another chart that you may be familiar with is this one at now the bottom of the screen. That one extends out the decimals a little bit more. The big thing that you're going to need this for is in word problems, the questions may say round to the nearest tenth. And you need to know that the nearest tenth is going to be 1 decimal place. So with that being said, if you are multiplying and dividing, this is just a little note to make. If you're multiplying or dividing decimals, the easiest thing to do is just to type it into your calculator. And so an example of that, let's look at, I'm just going to make one up. Example 0.213 times 0.625. Okay, so I'm going to multiply that in my calculator, 0.213 times 0.625. And I get out in my calculator 0.133125. Now it may say round to the nearest tenths place. Well, that means I'm going to round off that number. And so you can see now on the screen, rounding rules. I'm going to look to the number right next door. So I'm going to look to the number to the right. If it's 5 or more, raise the score. If it's 4 or less, let it rest. Well, this one is 4 or less. And so I'm going to round this thing off to 0.1. Okay, so let's keep on with this rounding. So if you've got your textbooks, open them to page 77. All right, number 10 says, which of the digits is in the hundreds place when 1.3208 is divided by 5.2. So again, decimals multiplying or dividing, just type them in. 1.3208 divided by 5.2. And I get out 0.254. Now make sure you're typing that into the calculator with me. Don't just trust me. 0.254. And it says, what digit is in the hundredths place? Well, hundredths is going to be 2 spots to the right of the decimal. And 2 spots to the right of the decimal here is going to be, the place value is a 5. And so that's the hundredths. And that is letter D. All right, number 11. Number 11 says, what is 498,235 rounded to the nearest thousands. So notice it does not end in that THS. So thousands is going to be, 1, 2, 3, 4 spots to the left of the decimal. So I've got ones, hundreds, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. That's the number I'm rounding. And in order to round it, I'm going to look to the number right next door. That thing is 4 or less, so I'm going to let it rest. So this is going to round off to 498,000. And that is letter A.